emotional support animals, ESA. Have you heard that term? Have you heard questions? Have you heard that person that found a way around it? What's the reality? Well, all of us are familiar with a service animal. For a service animal, we all know that they would go through training, and a service animal has very specific purposes. Nobody questions a service animal. But with an emotional support animal, it's a little different. They do not go through the training that a service animal would, but yet they still serve a very similar purpose. What do we mean? Well, with a service animal, maybe somebody has limited eyesight. Maybe they have a health condition. We know with a service animal, there is a specific need, and that animal was trained for a specific service. So nobody questions that. But when it comes to an emotional support animal, they are filling a different need, and they do not require the same formal training as a service animal would. So a lot of people have opinions. They vary about, do we have to accept an emotional support animal? Can we get around it? Can we still put an addendum about it being an animal? What questions do we have? Well, while each state may have a few variables about emotional support animals, service animals and emotional support animals are federally protected, which means every state has to follow some basic guidelines. In the state of Florida, we follow the national guidelines. Florida has an addition that when someone gets paperwork or prescription, so to say, of an emotional support animal, it does need to be a Florida service provider. There are fake people or people online that crank these certificates out. You can look on YouTube and probably find 100 or 1,000 videos on how to get your animal as an emotional support animal. Is that real? Absolutely. But in Florida, it does need to be a Florida professional. So if they have an online certificate, if they have some cool little vest, that in itself does not meet the requirements. But if it is a Florida service provider that says this tenant or this applicant has an emotional support animal and it fills a need, we're going to have to accept that. And just like a service animal, the emotional support animal is a tool or a piece of equipment to help the tenant for something. We have to accept it just like that. So that means it's not a pet. There's no pet fee. There's no pet rent. There's no pet addendum. It's a tool or a piece of equipment, and we have to take it as that. There's no way to get around it. We do not want to fight a lawsuit of that nature, but we make sure that we have everything done right. Now, understanding the fact that the emotional support animal still needs to behave, so if it's causing problems in the neighborhood or at the property, that could be a reason that the tenant has still defaulted. If it is an aggressive animal that has done something, that may then disqualify it from being on the property. If it's an aggressive breed in itself, that in itself is not a factor. And we worry about the insurance company. Well, when we have proper paperwork and we send that to the insurance company, they have to follow the same rules we do. So let them know. If you have a condo that says no pets, send them the paperwork. They have to follow the same federal guidelines that we do. They cannot discriminate. So, if you have questions, if you have worries, if you have fears, let's talk about emotional support animals and how they may affect your property. My name is Baron McWright. I look forward to talking to you very soon.